Toolshed podcast. And in this conversation, a little bit different to most, we've got a couple of people we're going to be speaking to today. And what we'll be talking about is dealing with weather events, in particular floods and business, and the effect that it has on you and how you can manage it, and just try and give some support to some people who are doing it really tough right now, and could really do with some support. So we're going to be talking about that in this conversation. So who we're talking with is Mr. Scott Carson and Andrea Marshall, and you'll know Scott from the tool shed and other funny things that he does. And Andrea is one of our Builders Business Black Belt members, and also is a massive contributor to Scott's business of Smiles. So welcome all two of you. Just to get started, because Andrea is up in Warupna, which is close to Shepparton, and in that area up there, they've absolutely been hammered with flooding. So can you just bring us up to speed as to what the scenario is now, like what's happening now?
The flood waters have receded. Even those streets that were fully inundated for up to 10 days, their water has now receded. People are getting back into their homes and dealing with the cleanup, really. It's pretty heartbreaking watching trailer after trailer go by. It's really hard. People have lost a lot. Some people have lost pets. Many people have lost homes, their contents. Water went in. Some of them was halfway up their homes. So literally everything had to come out. There's just been street loads of home contents out on the street waiting for hard rubbish cleanup. But the great thing is that our community has got behind everyone. Lots of businesses, just people getting out there. I've got a trailer. Hey, I'm going to go help. And they just turn up to a street where they can see that there's rubbish on the road, or not on the road, on the sidewalk. And they're getting in there helping the families clear their homes out. So great little community spirit here. But where I'm now seeing posts on Facebook and people are just calling out for some emotional support. And I know the Business of Smiles can really help with that. They bring hope and connection to communities. Scott gets out there. I often go out with him, and we just walk around talking to the community and hearing their stories and thanking them for doing their best right now. So, yeah, if we can raise some money or sell socks, basically. I've got these socks here. What we would love to do is sell some of those socks, and we can get out there and share them with the community and just make a little connection and tell them that we might be having dark days now, but as always, the community's there and they will support us and help us get through this time.
Yeah. So, Scott, how important is community? And I know that the Business of Smiles has kind of not that long ago been dealing with some challenges in that area of the country, and now they've copped it, I think, for the third time or something. Tell us about the previous involvement of the Business of Smiles and what you'd like to see happen in this scenario.
Yeah, thanks, Mick. I mean, it's devastating, right? People lose everything. Like floodwaters come up halfway through your house, they're going to pull all the plaster out. The whole house has to be pulled down. Then we've got the mold, everything's got to dry out. So it's a long recovery. But one of the things that's most important is community spirit. Community spirit is a single thing that will get you through any opportunity. Like, it's not just in situations such as this, it's situations in the building game, it's situations in fires. Like, I was lucky enough to be, I must say lucky enough, maybe I'll change the wording around that, but I'm lucky enough to be a very, very small part of the recovery the Wye River fires.
Mm.
You know, that was a Christmas Day, and it's the same thing every time. When devastation happens, it really hurts. But it's the recovery that's so important. It's the recovery that we need to get around each other. But there's one thing that comes out of every single one of these, and it's the stories. Like you just saw with Andrea, it's hurting. The community's hurting. Yeah. And we need a safe place to be able to share those stories. When I went up to Lismore recently, that was absolute devastation, not unlike what's going on right now in Maribna. And when I first got there, I'm like, what am I actually doing here? What's my purpose to being here? I'm just coming up here because I care. What right do I have to be here to have a conversation with these people? So glad I felt that, because it made me weary as to what I was walking into. It made me respect that I don't know their situation, but I can listen. An ear to listen. A pair of socks that creates hope. And the hope in these socks is not just as you hand it over, it's a connection that someone actually gives a shit about you. And I think that's something that's so important. When we went back 10 days later after we were in Lismore, the amount of people wearing the socks, had socks on as gloves, all sorts of different opportunities, because somebody gave a shit about them. You know, and if it's one thing that I'd like to encourage, unfortunately, it costs money to go and do these things. You know, we need fuel to get up there and support the community in Maribna. And I know we've been there before to have a little bit of an impact, but this one's significant. This is one of our community that's living in that place right now. We need to support them. We need to get around Andrea, we need to get around Justin, you know, Zoe and Liv, get around them and support them, because it's the problem's not the problem. There's always going to be problems. It's how we respond to that problem that either creates the pain, the lesson, or the opportunity. We get to choose. Right now, they're in a bit of pain, but there is some lessons. And we find those and we create the opportunity. I think one of the greatest opportunities that we can do in these situations is write down our stories. We have pens, and, and this is a smiley pen. We've got other pens that we gift people when we speak to them, because the most important thing you can do in any situation that you've gone through that's difficult, write down your story, get it out of here, get it on paper, and then share it. And one of the things I'd love to encourage the Maribna and Shepner communities to do, especially at the schools, is to have all the kids sit down and write down how they experienced it, what they experienced, what they felt during that experience. Yeah. And then we go back with our smileys and we say to them, what's this smiley? Like we did it with the adults the other day inside the intensive. What makes you smile? And remember, there is sunshine that comes out of our dark days. But we need to know what makes each other smile. It's such an important thing, because then we know that when we can't talk about the things that make you smile, then we need to support you. So I really want to get back up there, Mick. I want to get back up there and just walk the streets. Thank people for doing their best, because they really are. A little bit
It's
of
amazing.
sunshine.
The time Scott's come, we just walk around and we connect with different people in the community, whether that be police officers, older people having a coffee on their own, people just walking into the coffee shop. One day we met with a lady, and she approached me actually, and she said, I want to know more about that shirt you're wearing. Tell me some more. And I said, well, actually, I'd love to gift you this pair of socks. And she was delighted. She was so happy. And I gave her the socks and I said, can I tell you the story? And I told her, these socks, they have dark dots and they represent our dark days. But the yellow on the socks is our community and the sun on our back. And it's the community getting around us and supporting us. And she said, oh, that's a beautiful story, and thank you for telling me it. But most of all, thank you for smiling at me and making me feel welcome in your community. She said, I just moved here not long ago, and COVID, we've all been isolated, and I felt like the community wasn't welcoming me. So to have you have a chat to me and tell me more about your community, it makes me feel I've made the right decision. She's running an animal rehoming rescue centre. And yeah, she was just delighted to have someone take the time to chat to her. But there are so many beautiful stories like that when Scott comes and we hand out the socks and just make connections with people. And it's that time that you take to smile and make a connection and tell somebody that you're listening and they're heard, and to let them know that there's hope for the future.
When there are situations like this, unfortunately, it tends to bring out the worst in some people and the best in others. What anyone listening to this, whether they're watching it live now or watching a replay a little bit later on, what would be something that somebody, even if they're not in the area, could do to contribute?
Look, I'd love for any businesses out there that are able to purchase some socks. You can buy them for your business, for your employees. But every time you purchase a pair of socks, you're actually donating another pair of socks that will be given out in the community when Scott and I and the Business of Smiles team walk around and just connect with people. People are really crying out for that connection now. The socks are $20, but as I say, one pair is donated to the community. There are people saying that they're just feeling lonely. There are people in our showgrounds at the moment. They're camping. That's where they're living because they don't have homes anymore. And they're posting messages saying how lost they are, how they've already been through so much, and to go through this now, they're just wondering, where to next? How do I get back on my feet? So just having someone come by and listen and let them know that they've got the support of the community behind them, it can make a big difference to someone.
And the people on the ground, the people that are there, that are, maybe they've been a bit fortunate and haven't suffered too much damage. What can you suggest to them? Like Scott's talked about, and maybe Scott wants you want to answer this. When somebody is in trouble, somebody's hurting, often people aren't sure what to say or how to act. They want to help, but quite often people don't know how. What would you suggest?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Mick, because that's something that's really important. A lot of the times you don't know what to say. How do you say things? But if we just say thank you to each other for doing our best, because we all are, especially in these conditions. But if you don't have anything to say, you don't have to. Just sit with the person. So often just your presence, sitting next to somebody, ask them, how you feeling today? Listen. Say anything. It's so important. I think it's really important that the community gets behind one another, especially those that haven't been affected, because you still are. The shops are all down. Everything's down. You're all part of one big community, right? And this is a little bit of a tangent to come back. But every single time this disaster happens, it's not the government that fixes it. It's the people in that community. It's the people in that community that get around each other and support each other in a time of need. May not feel like it right now, but I know the communities of Shepparton and Maribna will be much stronger for this, because you've seen things and learnt things about one another, and that little bit more care's there. Having people coming out and just picking their trailer up and going and helping their neighbours. It's the community spirit. That's one of the beautiful things about living in a rural community, is people really do get around each other, so it's a pretty special thing. But my number one thing that I'd like to say to everyone, if that's okay, is just really proud of people for getting around each other. Proud of Andrea for putting her hand up and saying, hey, this is my community. We can do more to support this, and I want to do more to support it. Make contact with Andrea. Make contact with myself. Let us know that we want to be there. Andrea.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, our community has been amazing. it's not the government, it's not the big agencies, it's the community that you can really see getting in and helping each other. The spirit has been amazing. The football club held a big working bee. Teams of people went out, and it wasn't just our football club. All the other clubs came and helped this football club. It was just the Marupna Football Club called for all the other sporting people to come and help, and community members, and they did. They spent a whole Saturday last weekend helping out. It was amazing.
Isn't it amazing the humanness that comes out of these things? You know, you've got footy clubs that go to war against each other each weekend, and yet when the chips are down and we've really got to support each other, hand goes up and say we need help, and we give it. That's something else I want to grab quickly. If you're in and around Shep, Marupna, or downstream, upstream, and things are difficult, put your hand up. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be feeling like crap. You're going through something quite significant. Please put your hand up. Please put your hand up and say that I'm not okay, because the community will support you. People will be there, but we need your help to put your hand up. Okay? That's the best thing you can do.
Tell us about the business of Smiles and how it started and why it started.
Well, all right. Okay. My life hasn't always been easy. I've had plenty of opportunities. From domestic violence through to living on the streets, through to an incident where I held my wife in my right arm, blood pouring out of her head and her mouth, my 2-year-old son in my left arm. And nobody stopped. Everybody kept running and riding past. I'm like, what kind of society do we live in? That burnt a hole in me. I thought, what's the one thing I can do to change that? What's the one thing I can do to reconnect us? Smile. Smile. It's hard to smile sometimes. It's hard when life has put you to the wall. But you're worth it. And people do care. People do care. You know, when we walk the streets thanking people for doing their best, it's not a bullshit conversation. We give people a pair of socks, and these aren't crap socks. They're high quality socks, because I'm not going to give you something that's has no value. I'm going to give you something that feels good, and that you remember that connection of a person who honestly cares about you. Here you go, Mick. I didn't.
I actually love that they are good quality, because when we're out and about in Shepparton and we're handing them out, a lot of people are down on their luck and they don't have much, but these brand new socks, they put them on so quickly, and gee, it brings a smile to their face. You know, it's so special to them that someone has stopped and noticed them and taken the time to have a conversation with them. And, you know, I've had guys standing there with Scott and he's given them the socks, and you effing made my day. You made my day. You really made my day. So, you know, to get that excitement out of someone that's down and out on their luck, it's really touching.
Yeah, I just got to grab that, Mick. Sorry,
Yeah,
but I just want to share a quick story about Andrea and I were walking, coming back from actually going to see Gus Walland, who was in town promoting, and we thought we'd go and say good day. And anyway, we walked into town, to touch the real hearts of the town. And there's two coppers walked out of the station, and one was a senior sergeant, and out in plain clothes. And I've walked up to him, and I just said, "G'day, mate. How are you? Just want to thank you for doing your best for it now." He's like, "What?" I said, I just want to thank you for doing your best for it now. Can I gift you a pair of socks? He goes, "Mate, I can't take them." I said, "No." I said, "These are pretty important. They're from my heart to yours." I said, "Black dots represent our dark days. We all have them. No one's getting out of that. But that yellow, that's that warm winter sun on your back, community and friends getting around your dark days. I just want to thank you for doing your best for it now. Actually, I don't want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for what doesn't happen because of what you do." He stopped him in his, he just, the double take in his eyes and his body was so significant. And an authentic thank you when you understand what it is that somebody's doing hits them straight in the heart, and you never forget those things. I'll never know his name, but I guarantee you, I live in his heart just as much as he lives in mine. It's so important to see each other. It's so important. Like at the moment we're doing a big campaign for Frankston, where I focus on those people knowing themselves. I focus on, kids that don't have any opportunities in life, that just don't have the great mentors in their life. I focus on those sleeping rough, and I sit and have a yarn because they're all bloody important. We are one community. Every single person in a community affects another. So we need to support one another, whether you're a lawyer, a policeman, someone sleeping rough, teacher, a student, doctor, drug addict, drug dealer, whether or not you're a fireman, whether you're an AMBO, whether or not we're all part of one community. You could be a mum, a grandmother, a grandfather. We've all got a role in our community, and we all affect one another. That's why it's so important to support one another. I'm so proud of you, Andrea. I'm so proud of you for what you do and your heart that's in the community. I really want to thank you for being you, Andrea, because you started this up with putting your heart on the table, the pain that's in Marupana at the minute. But I guarantee you, in time, with a little bit of love, you're going to be stronger because of it.
Thank you, Scott. I know the difference it makes when we get out there in the community, just when there isn't a major disaster. So with this flood situation on our hands, I know the difference we will make going around chatting to people, gifting them socks, letting them know that there's still hope out there. There's always a positive that will come from a negative. I know everyone's hurting now, but for some that it'll be an opportunity to start fresh. People are connecting more with their neighbours. There's lots of little positives that are coming out of it. And, if we can get down there on the ground and talk to people and share some stories of hope and give them hope, it'll be really worth it for the community.
So, Andrea, you've known Scott for a long time, even well before he started the business of Smiles and what have you. What caused you to get involved in the business of Smiles? Because you were quite your contribution was quite significant a few months ago, helping out up at Lismore and raising money and watching Scott run around a track in the middle of the night raising money and things like that. What caused you to get involved in this?
I just see the benefit to the community and the people. People don't always choose to be down and out. You're often dealt a bad hand, and it's not fair that people suffer. But just the joy that Scott brings, reaching out to people, it's amazing what he does. He has such a good knack for targeting in on people who are hurting, finding their pain, helping them recognise it, but helping them find ways to move on as well. There's just so much benefit of what Scott does. How could you not be involved? I just love everything about the business of Smiles. There's a great little community of people in the background working hard to bring smiles. Scott's hope is to share smiles around the world. Imagine that, if the smiles are contagious enough to go around the world and everyone is a little kinder to each other. That would be lovely.
I just want to honour Andrea because we did raise quite a significant amount of money for the Lismore floods, and we took up $10,000 worth of sporting equipment to a school that lost everything. It was absolutely phenomenal. But Andrea drove down from Shepparton to Mornington to come and support and help me in the darkest hours. And I'm about to have one less dog in the world because that one's going off its nut. Halloween.
We can't hear
but
it.
I can't hear it. Oh, perfect. That's all right. So, but I want to honour Andrea. She came down and she kept me going in the darkest hours. I ran 6.4 Ks every 4 hours, and for every time we had an effort sponsored, I'd run another 2K. And to all the people that actually supported us in that, it was magnificent. But Andrew was there when it was bucketing with rain. The entire track was covered in water. We got it wind blown. It was horrendous. We actually had the gazebo sitting on top. It's 2:00 in the morning. Andrea's going, Scott, I think we've got an issue. I said, what's that? What's that? She goes, the gazebo's just landed on my head. I can't get out of the tent. I don't know what we're going to do here. And it was just Andrea and I in the darkest hour, and, to talk about somebody with the biggest heart. I'm so proud of Andrea, but not only that, I'm so grateful for her friendship. She's somebody that I admire a lot, and, will do anything for you. So I'm really hoping we get behind Andrea in the community of Marupno, because I tell you what, this woman here's got a heart that's so big. And yeah. So thank you.
Get out there and make things better. We have a family staying with us at the moment. They lost their home. So, that's one person I've helped, but I want to help so many more. I just want to get out there and make sure everyone's okay.
So how can people do that? Because it's like buying socks is one thing. How can people get involved? Not just for this, but we're talking about this at the moment in your area, but just contribute to the business of Smiles. Like, one way is you can buy $100,000 worth of socks. What else could you do after you've done that?
Come walk with us.
How do you get involved?
Come spend some time. Get on the website, I think it was one too many W's, but that's okay.
Perfect.
Was it good? All right.
All the W's dot.
www.ihopeyouaresmiling.com, and get around it. Have a look at the events we're doing. They're continuing. Like, we want to be up at Shepparton as quickly as possible. Everything comes down to our fuel. Our engine will run and run well with fuel in it. But we need fuel. So any financial donations, please either reach out to Andrew or myself, and we'll make that all happen. We are a charity. It is, although we're called the Business of Smiles, we are a charity. It's the Business of Smiles because we take it that serious that we make it our business to create smiles. That's what that's about. That's how important it is. One of the big things is, with someone like Andrea, who's just got this amazing heart, when she walks the streets, she connects with people. We teach people how to do that. We run workshops on that. We run workshops on how to connect from your heart to somebody else's. So when you're sitting with them, you're not projecting your pain. You're just able to listen and hold space. I think that's one of the most important things. So you want to get involved? Reach out. We need more smilers around the world. Have a look at the shirts on us, for crying out loud. They're so big and bold. You live through rose-colored glasses, because everybody looks at you and smiles at you before you get to them. When I don't wear my T-shirt, I actually feel like I'm ripping myself off, not other people, myself, because I don't get the smiles that I'm used to. So, lots of ways to be involved. Get on the website, get around us, but most importantly, get around Marupna and Shep at the moment, because they need some love.
Yeah.
We have a post on the Golden Valley Floods page, in the Facebook page, so anyone can reach out to me. I'll provide an invoice if they would like to purchase socks, and That invoice will have payment details on. But as Scott said, ihopeyourSmiling.com, there's information there. Scott's trying to get out and see as many communities as he can to share smiles. It's really what it's all about. The connection is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, things aren't great, but the when we're in situations like this, when we're presented with situations like this, we do have the opportunity to step up. So, you know, please jump on the business of Smile, see how you can contribute. If you are in the affected areas, just spare a thought and as Scott said, sit with people and just hold space for them and listen to them, just so they know that someone has their back. Community is the most powerful thing to help in these sorts of situations, and you can be part of the solution or you can be part of the problem. I encourage you to be part of the solution, and that is just some kind words, some support. If you've got the financial wherewithal, get yourself some socks to give to your 150,000 closest friends. What I'd love to see is for Scott to have a problem. I'd like to see Scott go, holy shit, we're running out of socks. I'd like to create that problem. So, if anybody is watching this or watching the replay, and they feel compelled to help significantly, please do so. Share this video. If you're watching the replay, simply share the video so more people can see it and more people can jump on, and we'll in the replay we'll make sure we put the correct websites with the appropriate amount of W's in the description, so you can just click on it and go straight there. So thank you guys for having this conversation and contributing. Any final words, anything that we haven't spoken about that we need to speak about before we bail?
I'd love to thank Mick for having the platform to hold the conversation. Let the community know that we're all out there supporting each other. You're all doing a fantastic job right now. Thank you so much. And thank you to Scotty for sharing the message about your smiles. And I'm sure we'll get out there sometime pretty soon and really spark the community up and make them feel a bit happier. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Beautiful. Thank you, Andrea. I'll second that on you, Mick. But there's something I want to reach out to the greater building community. You can make a difference right now. You can make a difference to one of our community that's struggling a bit, still a bit hard. You can make a difference to them. $50, $100, $500. Give us an opportunity to be there and support her. It's our community too, yeah? We're all part of one community. From my heart to yours, thank you, Mick. Andrea, I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing everything you're doing. Yeah. And I can't wait to be up there because it's important. You're important.
There are a few people that I am aware of that are watching us live. We have a Hugh, we have a Frank, we have a Paul, you know who that is, and we have a Matt over at the start of the Great Ocean Road, so I reckon that's the end. So they're watching live. So hopefully, they will spread the word and encourage people to contribute to this, so we can lend a helping hand. People are struggling. If you're not, what can you do to contribute? Because one day you might be, and it's going to be really valuable when somebody else gives you a leg up and gives you a hand when you're in that sort of a situation. So thank you both for speaking with me and coming onto the podcast. As I said, if you're watching this podcast, please share this podcast. Just grab the link and just share it through all of your social platforms, so we can get more and more and more eyeballs on this conversation to be able to contribute to situations like this through the business of smiles and through your efforts and generosity. So thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the Tool Shed podcast. And we'll be talking to you again real soon. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys.